Hello and welcome back to Portugal and the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve, nestled just outside Portimao. A lovely, lovely venue, a spectacular venue to come racing at. Here's the track then, 4.5 kilometers, 15 corners, 6 left, 9 right, longest straight of just under a kilometre long there. Opened in November 2008, the inaugural race was World Superbike, with a certain Troy Bayliss doing the double in 2008. What will we see today? In our second race on the billing, it's the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Only one race for them here at the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve. A splendid day here, splendid weekend here, Lewis. And it looks like we're set for another cracking battle in the European Talent Cup. It always is great racing in the European Talent Cup, and I don't think we're going to see anything different here today under sunny blue skies. Absolutely,
a lottery would probably be the best way of describing it. So far this year in the Hawkers European Talent Cup, 5 different winners from the first 5 races, and they do not include the current points leader, Hugo Milan, who we'll see very, very shortly, of course. Always thrilling racing, of course. Slipstream, always a key part of these Hawkers European Talent Cup races, as we get the first glimpse of the stars of the future before they arrive in Moto3. Here's what we saw from the Hawkers European Talent Cup in Barcelona.
Yeah, an absolutely sensational race last time out in Barcelona in the European Talent Cup. 4 riders breaking clear: Milan, Zurutuza, Cruces and Maximo Martinez. And like you say, Lewis, we saw a 5th different winner in 5 races. Xabi Zurutuza, 2nd in the championship, picked up his first win in his debut season. That's 2 podiums now for Xabi Zurutuza. But none of them are on pole position. Angel Piqueras has picked up his first pole position of 2021. And there they are lining up on the grid then, and there is the number 18 of Angel Piqueras. As we say, first pole position in his 2nd season now is Angel Piqueras, as we now have a look at what happened yesterday in qualifying.
And say thanks for my team, all my family and the sponsor.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Angel Piqueras, and a brilliant Saturday afternoon and morning in the office for the 14-year-old from Valencia. There's his season so far, a best of 4th place so far, followed by 12th place and 8th for DNF and another 8th place.
Yeah, he was a rider who, when we covered the first round of last season at Estoril, myself and Jack Appleyard, he was a rider that immediately caught the eye on his debut in the European Talent Cup, immediately on the podium on his very first weekend. So clearly an awful lot of talent there. He seemed quite sheepish, didn't he, in his pit box there when he found out he was on pole position. Clearly quite a shy lad as well, just 14 years old. But yeah, his results this season haven't quite matched up to the promise perhaps he showed last year, but today will be as good a time to any to change that, and from pole position he's got a very good chance of doing so.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth remembering, isn't it? These riders are still so young. A lot of them between the ages 12 and 15. They're just starting their careers on the road to MotoGP, all chasing the same dream. And this is another rider who's really caught the eye this season in his debut season, Maximo Martinez. Second place, as we saw in the highlights there in Barcelona. He was taking it to the 3 Cuna de Campeones machines of Milan, Zurutuza and Cruces, and Martinez finished second. Top 5 in every race he's finished this year, so it's really been a fantastic debut season for Maximo Martinez, hasn't it?
Yeah, and he unfortunately caught the eye for the wrong reasons this morning. We saw him trying to restart his bike in warm-up. We didn't actually see what happened to him, whether it was a crash or a mechanical for him, but either way, a slightly disrupted build-up to the race for Martinez. But yeah, he's been very impressive so far this season. Not quite as impressive as this young man, though, Hugo Milan, who, as you can see, is yet to taste victory this season, but he does lead the championship. That incredible consistency he's had with top 8 finishes in every race, and if you take out the 8th place at Estoril, he's been on the podium in every race since, with 3 thirds and a second. So close to the victory as well, back at Valencia, and he leads the championship by 7 points. And it's very easier said than done to say, oh yeah, all you need to do is be consistent. But at such a young age, to have that incredible level of consistency in such a chaotic and unpredictable class just speaks volumes about how good a season Hugo Milan is having.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. He's taken the giant mirror approach, isn't he, from 2020. Consistency is everything so far for Hugo Milan. 4 straight podiums, 3 thirds and a second place puts him top, like you say, Lewis, by 7 points from teammate Zurutuza. As we focus now on Zurutuza, he's looking up for the race, isn't he? Podiums 2, wins 1. He became the 5th winner of our season in 2021, last time out in Barcelona. Fantastic debut victory for Zurutuza, who leads the second row of the grid in 4th place. He's finished every race this year as well, Lewis. So a lot of these riders are really proving, despite being so young, proving that they can finish races consistently, and that's what it's all about. The Hawkers European Talent Cup is, like I say, really the beginning of the road to MotoGP, one of the beginning of the roads to MotoGP. Of course, we've got the other Talent Cups, the British Talent Cup, the Asia Talent Cup, the Northern Talent Cup, and so on. But yeah, these riders are really learning their trade, aren't they?
Yeah, Zurutuza is one of 5 riders who could leave here today as the championship leader. Gracia leads Zurutuza by 7, but we've also got Cruces, Martinez and Esteban all within 25 points of the leader. Here's Brian Uriarte, who starts in 5th position. He's 7th in the championship, as you can see. It's been a bit feast or famine for him so far this season. When he's finished, he's been very close to the front, but he's had those 2 costly DNFs earlier in the season. As you saw there, he is another of the 5 different winners that we've had this season. 1 race, 1 back at Valencia. And while he does ride, as you could probably see on screen there, for the Estrella Galicia team, they don't ride in this European Talent Cup in the more familiar Estrella Galicia colours of blue and black. To watch out for them, as you can see with another of them here, Marco Morelli on another of the Estrella Galicia team. They're running in the Monlau colours of red and black in the European Talent Cup.
Yeah, all the team colours are blue still, aren't they? We were walking up and down pit lane yesterday, Lewis, and we spotted everyone in blue but the bikes. And of course the levers for the riders have changed to red, so I'm not sure what that's all about. But yeah, they're easily spottable from your TV screens and from track sides. Marco Morelli, incidentally, it was his birthday yesterday, so a happy belated birthday to Marco Morelli. 14 years old now is the Argentine, and he'll be hoping to kickstart his season in many ways. He's down in 12th place. He was 10th place overall last year, and he won one of the races in Jerez. But he's only got a best of 9th place so far this season. So yeah, it's sort of time now for Morelli to kickstart his championship charge as such.
Yeah, Adrian Cruces then, he starts from the front of the 3rd row. A couple of podiums for him so far this season, although that costly moment back in Barcelona lost him championship points, and lost him, more to the point, the championship lead, which he carried in to Barcelona, dropping to 3rd overall. He'll be looking to bounce back this season. The top 3 in the championship, all Cuna de Campeones riders, Gracia, Zurutuza and Cruces. So they've very much enjoyed the best of the European Talent Cup so far this season. As we now switch to 8th on the grid, this is Alberto Ferrandez, one of the more experienced riders, you'd have to say, in this class. Ferrandez on the number 54. 3rd overall last year, and perhaps would have expected slightly more from him than we've got so far this season, especially when he took 2nd place in the second of the races at Estoril, but he's not been able to get in the top 6 since then, and that's why he currently trails the championship leader by 34 points.
Yeah, Ferrandez would have been one of my favourites at the start of the year, as you say, Lewis. He was 3rd last year, sorry, not yesterday. 3rd last year, and he was inside the top 7 in every single race last year. So he's another rider who proves he can be really consistent despite the young age and despite such a what's the word I'm looking for? Competitive class. Competitive, that's the word I was looking for. But yeah, starting from P8, third row of the grid, so he's got a little bit of work to do here in the only race of the day. But yeah, like you say, Ferrandez is really one to watch.
Who else will we have to watch then in this Hawkers European Talent Cup race? This is the grid then for the only race of the day in this class today. Angel Piqueras from his maiden pole position ahead of Maximo Martinez and Hugo Milan, the championship leaders. Zurutuza, Uriarte and Morelli on row 2, with Cruces, Ferrandez and Philip Ton on row 3. Alvaro Carpe on row 4. He starts 10th ahead of Joel Esteban and David Almanza. The Finn, Salmela, Perilla and Mihaila on row 5 ahead of Sharil, Garcia and Alcina. Casey O'Gorman chases his first points of the season from 19th ahead of Sola and Perez, Gonzalo Perez, Guillaume Plonquez, Jacob Rulestone and Moodley on row 8, with Danish, Pinney and Brinton on row 8 of the grid. Rounding us out, we have Pavelek, Al-Sahuti and Gordon, with the Portuguese Ribeiro in 31st ahead of Trias and Van Tricht. The Canadian Collins ahead of Schiaretta and Gordon on row 12. And one more rounding us out, and that is the Japanese rider Uchimi, Kotaro Uchimi. He starts 37th on the grid ahead of 15 laps of Portimao.
This should be an absolutely bonkers race in the Hawkers European Talent Cup, as the teams just leave the grid, leave the riders on the start line as they rev their engines, and they'll head on their warm-up lap right now. We're talking about Ferrandez, Lewis. He podiumed here last year in this class, so he's got podium pedigree at the Algarve International Circuit. So definitely watch out from Ferrandez from 8th on the grid. But we've mentioned this when we were just speaking separately earlier in the weekend, weren't we? It's just sometimes impossible, well, not sometimes, most of the time, impossible to call in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. There's so much talent on display. They're all chasing the dream. They're all young. They all want to win every weekend. And yeah, it just sets us up for a brilliant racing week in, week out.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that we've got the Tour de France taking place at the moment over in France at the moment, and these European Talent Cup races almost resemble a sprint stage on the Tour de France, don't they, where we have the peloton battling around and jockeying for position for 90% of the race, and then it's all about getting yourself in the right spot for the very final sprint, and who will break free of the peloton to win this one. We've seen a rider there practicing a long lap route. We'll see if we get anyone going through there today. Of course, it is European Talent Cup, so there is every chance. But yeah, 15 laps coming up, and yeah, it is all about just getting yourself in the right position, making sure you don't get yourself out of position and drop out of that leading group. And if you're in that leading group, with the slipstream posing such an incredible boost for you down that main straight, just keeping yourself in a good slot. And if you can get into that final lap and you're in the top 3, you're in a very, very good position. Yeah, slipstream, as always, in the lower classes is going to be crucial today. As we take a look at the championship standings then, Hugo Milan leading Zurutuza and Cruces and Martinez. There's 19 points split in the top 4, just 7 split in the top 2. So we could see some crucial changes in the championship standings this weekend, as we see a couple of the riders there taking the long lap penalty route down at turn 14. Hopefully we don't see too many riders having to do that, but keep an eye on track limits in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. With the riders so closely bunched together there, you can see the green strip on the outside of the curbs. If you touch that too many times, race direction will hand you a long lap penalty. So yeah, just keep an eye on the riders for that. Yeah, that of course is the long lap penalty loop, not at turn 5. So the rider that clearly went straight on down there into the Formula 1 hairpin just clearly fancied an extra bit of track time on his warm-up lap. But yeah, a very fascinating race coming up. As we expect, as always is the case in Hawkers European Talent Cup, a big group expected up at the front. Although Piqueras, he'll be obviously looking to try and get out front early on and try and break them, but it is so difficult to achieve. Once you come onto that home straight, you just get so much of a slipstream if you're following, and it's maybe not going to be quite as powerful as it would have been yesterday with the heavy wind that we had yesterday. It's calmed down today, so the slipstream might not be quite as powerful, but it is always a useful weapon when you're trying to overtake in this class.
Last year's ETC winner David Alonso was able to pull clear 2.2 seconds. The Colombian won by. Can anyone repeat that today? Just see a couple of riders just having to back up on the starting grid, maybe just miss their grid slot there. Hopefully no issues to report. They're back in there safely. Watch at the back of the grid. The green flag will wave when everyone's clear. There it is. The red flag will then clear the grid and we'll be soon underway for the only race of the day for the European Talent Cup riders. The red lights will come on. Then they go off and we're away, and it's a good start from your pole sitter Angel Piqueras. Also a good start from Maximo Martinez from second on the grid, as we see a yellow flag there at the background. Will Maximo Martinez get the whole shot into turn one? Up the inside, no. Piqueras breaks late around the outside. So the perfect start then from the pole sitter and the number 91. That's a disaster on the start line. That's Kota Uchumi, the Japanese rider. But we'll focus in on the leaders, and it's Piqueras who leads from pole position. Yeah,
fortunately, the rider who stalled on the grid was right at the very back of the grid, so no one was going to hit him. So that was a good moment in terms of his safety aspect. No one ran into him. Already a change for the lead as the 95 of Morelli goes up the inside. Tell you who made a terrible start off the line was Cruces, starting 7th on the grid. He just didn't get away at all. We'll keep an eye on where he comes through at the end of this first lap, but I'd be very surprised if he's made up any ground on this first lap. He just bogged it down completely on the number 10 off the line. But as we stand at the moment, it's advantage Estrella Galicia, but not the pole man that leads. It's Morelli from Piqueras.
Yeah, that was a great move down up the inside of turn front from Morelli. Started 6th place, the outside of the second row, and he's into P1. Not even halfway around the first lap, so a great start from the Argentine. We mentioned that it was his birthday yesterday. If he could win today, that would be a very happy birthday indeed for the now 14-year-old, but there's a long way to go, and he's got his 2 teammates behind him, Brian Uriarte and the number 18, the pole sitter, Piqueras.
Yeah, some close moves there into turn 13. They're already getting their elbows out. This is going to be a real feature of this race in European Talent Cup as we follow them through the final corner onto the main straight and let the slip streaming begin as they come across the line. A bit of a comfortable lead actually over the line for Morelli. He's not going to be slipstream, I wouldn't have thought, over the line, but from 6th on the grid, it's Morelli who leads us over the line from Uriarte. Cruces has dropped 2 places off the line. He's down to 9th position now. Piqueras running 3rd over the line. He's trying to have a go at the inside of his teammate, but we have had a change of lead. It's the 51 of Uriarte who leads it to turn 1, and we now have an Estrella Galicia 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Martinez on the 28 machine tried to make it a non-Estrella Galicia 1, 2, 3, but he didn't quite make it. It was up the inside at turn 1. As you see the Cuna de Campeones riders battling it out there with MT Foundation.
Yeah, Cruces was barging his way up the inside there into turn 3. He's trying to make up that ground. Look at him on the number 10. He's already back up to 5th now and make that 4th as the 28 of Martinez gets it all wrong into turn 5. Cruces, as I mentioned, got a terrible start, but he's already made up for that. Fastest of anyone in the first sector, so he clearly got a monster toe down the main straight, and he's already up into the top 4 and right in touch with this leading group.
Straight away then we've got a lot of riders line astern as we rise over the hill. It's a 1, 2, 3 at the minute for the Estrella Galicia riders, and it's Marco Morelli who leads again from Brian Uriarte and Piqueras. Who's that going around the outside? It's one of the Cuna de Campeones machines. I think it's Zurutuza. No, it's not. It's Cruces, the fast gathering Cruces overtakes Maximo Martinez and the number 28 machine round the outside. A great move from Cruces, and he's now up to P4.
Yeah, fastest lap of the racing coming from Cruces. He's absolutely flying now 3rd as he just goes up the inside of Piqueras. The pole man getting beaten up a little bit in these early stages of the race. He's just got to calm down and regroup and get himself together because he's coming under a little bit of fire. He's now got Martinez taking aim at him as well as they come through the final corner. A little bit of a tighter line to that final corner from Martinez now as he gets himself into the slipstream. Another change of lead coming as Morelli looks set to lead over the line. He doesn't. Uriarte got him by 100th of a second. But they were nearly a second slower than Cruces on that lap, who's now going to have a look. In fact, he's been drafted back on that run to the first corner. Despite an incredible lap last time around, he got beaten up into turn 1. And out of all of that, it's the 51 of Uriarte who led over the line, who leads into turn 1.
So then, Uriarte leads coming up the hill. We're seeing it already, Lewis. The slipstream wreaking havoc down the front straight and into turn 1. It's going to happen all race unless someone can break clear. But I don't see that happening in the early stages as the lead has changed 2 or 3 times already. As Morelli just loses it a little bit into turn 5. Gathers it back up though, hits the apex late on and gets the gas up on the hill as Cruces is now chasing Morelli and Uriarte in 3rd place. Cruces has really got the bit between his teeth, hasn't he, in the opening stages. Didn't make the best of starts, like you pointed out, Lewis, but he's really regathered, and he's now in 3rd place and looks hungry for more.
Yeah, he wants that first victory of the season, doesn't he, Cruces? He's really looking feisty in these early stages of the race. Yeah, he just appeared to just bog down completely off the line as we see them go side by side. We do tend to see a variety of lines through that corner because, you know, you come out of the previous left-hander and you're already on the right-hand side. Some people pull it back over for a slightly wider line. Some people just stick to the inside, as we saw Aldeguer do pretty frequently in the Moto2 class. But at the moment, Uriarte holds the lead, but he's got a bunch of riders climbing all over the back of him, of course. A lot of red and black in this field with the Cuna de Campeones and the Laglisse bikes running very similar colour schemes, so we'll do our best to identify them all for you. But at the moment, it is the 51 leading, with Morelli right behind him, although Cruces will have his eyes on leading this race very, very shortly. They're side by side, 4 abreast through the final corner.
I've got a funny feeling that the lead is going to change as we cross the line again, and I think it might be Maximo Martinez who takes the over, and yes, it is. So the number 28 there, the white bike, really got a good drive out the final corner as we see him lead into turn 1, but it's all kicking off. Who's out at the inside? Well, another one of the Cuna de Campeones. I think that is Ferrandez now into 3rd place. It's getting very, very tight. Keep it nice and tidy, boys. You can only lose the race at this stage of the race. There's about 6 riders all trying to get into the same line. It's typical European Talent Cup action here in the opening stages at Portimao.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. As you say, you can come across the line in sort of 8th or 9th, and suddenly you just vault up the order as we now have a change for the lead. And that is Carpe, I think, taking the lead for the first time in the race on the number 10. White crash helmet, easy to spot in the lead of this race. He takes the lead for the first time, and he does appear to have an incredible pace when he gets himself into a rhythm. Running in 3rd now, we have Ferrandez on the 54. He's in the red crash helmet. Just behind him, I believe, actually, that it's Carpe on the 83, who came across the line in 9th. I believe it's him with the yellow crash helmet that we can see just being eased wide for 4th position. He's made a particularly good start. But either way, we've got a leading group of 10 riders up at the front, covered by less than a second.
Coming up to the highest point of the circuit then, it's Cruces leading from Maximo Martinez, and Ferrandez has made good ground here then. Got a good draft down straight, and he's got tucked in behind Maximo Martinez, but as we can see there, Cruces is just edging clear. If he can try and break the slipstream down the front straight, then that's when you can try and start breaking clear of the group. We'll see now as he rounds the final corner. Was he a little bit out of shape there, Chris? I think he was, because yet again Maximo Martinez gets an absolutely sensational drive out the final corner, and it won't be Cruces leading over line, it'll be Maximo Martinez. But will he be Max Martinez leading into turn 1? I'm not sure it will, because there's 3 riders. There's Ferrandez, there's Zurutuza, and there's Cruces, all going for the same piece of tarmac, and it's Zurutuza then who dives up the inside and leads into turn 1. Sensational stuff in the Hawkers European Talent Cup in the early stages.
Yeah, it was Zurutuza I spotted with the yellow crash helmet, or the yellow flashes on his helmet, making his way through. Carpe still at the back of the group. Morelli though making a mistake and dropping back. A mistake can make it can be very, very costly in this class in particular, because once you get off the line, there's nobody prepared to let you back in.
There's nobody prepared to let you back in, because there's no way to allow you to get back in, is there? Everyone taking up the same piece of asphalt. Dive into turn 5. It really bottlenecks down there, doesn't it? You can obviously see a little bit on the camera shots, but you're not able to appreciate it. It really, really bottoms out as you hit the apex. They'll head back downhill, and then they'll head up over the crest here, out of turn 8, dive down into turn 9. Philip Ton, the number 66, has crashed out. Hopefully he's okay. We're not sure where that is. There's the bike then. Is that the final corner, is it?
Yeah, I think turn 15 there, Elliot. I think he's gone down there as they go 3 abreast once again. Tom was just at the back of this leading group, actually, so that's a real shame for him, for the young German. He was looking to build on what's been a pretty decent start to his season. Was 8th at Valencia a couple of rounds ago, but unfortunately his race has ended early. Yeah, real shame for him on the intact Sepang International Circuit bike. We'll, I think, catch an incident here. I don't think this is the incident, because he went down elsewhere. That's an incident for Hakeem Damish, the Malaysian, out of the race. Another rider involved there too. But that's so easily done at turn 5 because you see a variety of lines into there as well. You often see riders take a very wide entry into that corner, which just entices you to go up the inside there and dive up the inside, only for that gap to close on you. And I think that's exactly what happened there as they fan out once again into turn 1. Zurutuza led us across the line, but as you can see, he's going to struggle to lead. In fact, he does. He's very, very good on the brakes there into turn 1 and holds it as they go into the right-hander. It now winds right again before they hit the brakes hard for turn 3. The 44 of Gracia now up into second place with Martinez 6th over the line, up into 3rd now, just ahead of the 54 of Ferrandez.
Zurutuza was absolutely sensational on the brakes there, down into turn 1. Managed to hold off the chasing pack, who were tucked in behind with the slipstream, but Zurutuza, yeah, late on the brakes as we go into turn 5. Thought that was the number 51 of Brian Uriarte, trying to make a move up the inside, but not quite that time around as they fire it back up the hill. Then that's the number 93 who's had a bit of an issue. That's Pini. But he's back on the bike, hopefully for his sake he can get back running and try and finish the race. But it's Zurutuza leads, and then the number 44 of Hugo Milan, your championship leader, tucked up right behind his teammate. They battled it all the way in Barcelona last time out. Very, very brave. And they're doing it again here in Portimao. These two know each other very well, of course. Teammates in the Cuna de Campeones setup. As I thought Milan was going to try dive at the inside there. The Pedro Acosta move at turn 13, but not quite this time around. There's 9 and a bit laps to go, though. Plenty of action still to go as Martinez makes or sticks in front of Ferrandez as we come round to complete another lap. Who will lead over the line? Will it be Zurutuza? Will it be Hugo Milan? Will it be Maximo Martinez?
Cruz was getting his elbows out again slightly further back. He was driving up the inside again. He dropped all the way back to 5th or 6th position. He's trying to make his way back through. You can see him 5th in line there on the number 10 as the 44 of Gracia just locks into the slipstream of Zurutuza. Zurutuza once again, though, let's see if he can win the battle on the brakes. Yes, he does, pretty comfortably on the racing line, so he's able to carry more speed anyway, but he's very, very difficult to outbrake there into turn 1, is Zurutuza, and didn't get monstered on the slipstream as perhaps we expected. So that's encouraging for Zurutuza if he can keep the lead for as long as that and not get beaten down the straight, as we see Gonzalo Ribeiro out of the race. He looks to have had a crash. His leathers look a little bit dirty to me. Let's keep an eye on it. Turn 5, yes indeed, down he goes, forcing another rider off track as well. But that's a shame for him. And as we mentioned, it's so easily done down there. It's a downhill entry into turn 5. It's an uphill climb down that back straight, but you then plunge downhill into that hairpin, and it's so easy to lose the front into there, as you saw Alex Rins do in the MotoGP race earlier this season. It just sucks you in on the brakes to that corner, and it's very, very easy to lose the front.
Yeah, no surprise to see some riders unfortunately going down at turn 5, like you say, very, very easy to make a mistake. As we see a change of the lead, and it's Hugo Milan, the championship leader, now leading the way. Who's that diving up the inside? He loves that late move on the inside. We've seen that a couple of places now for Cruzes. So we've now got Cuna de Campeones 1, 2, 3 with the Estrella Galicia riders now getting involved as well. And that's Morelli having a go up the inside as well. It's just overtake or be overtaken in European Talent Cup. Zurutuza clearly fancies himself to take the lead and charge off. Who's that? Can't quite tell. Okay, so it's another instant. We saw that earlier
as well. Yeah, his run of points or lack of points this season continues, sadly. It's just not going his way. He's shown flashes this season, particularly at Estoril, where he was running very strongly. But yeah, he's still searching for his first points of the season. Yeah,
that's another corner down at turn 3 where it's very, very easy to get sucked in and make a mistake. The riders will come in there shortly. The leaders will anyway. And it's Zurutuza again. Will he be late on the brakes? Yes, he will. Chucks it into turn 1, hits the apex, gets it stopped. And Zurutuza here looking good as the Cuna Campeones team looking very nervous, understandably. Here is turn 3 then. That's very close between the teammates. Oh, I thought there was going to be a little bit of drama there, but no such worries for Cruzes and Zurutuza. It is a Cuna de Campeones 1, 2, 3 with Hugo Milan, the championship leader, in 3rd place at the minute.
Teammate or not, I'm not sure it matters to Cruzes. He's just going for it, isn't he, on the number 10. Still running in 2nd place. We've got a leading group of 7 now, covered by just half a second. Piqueras, the poleman's at the back of this group, running in 7th place. He was the fastest rider, or one of the fastest riders of the leading group, set his personal best on that last lap, so he's still running pretty nicely at the back of this leading group. Then we have a second gap back to Alvaro Carpe and Joel Esteban, who are running in 8th and 9th, and David Almanza completing the top 10 at the moment. moment on the Fine T-Work Hawkers Junior Team. Just 2.2 seconds off the leader. So if there's a bit more toing and froing in this leading group, as we're seeing now in the battle for third, I think that's Uriarte going up the inside, that could easily bring that chase group back into it.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. These guys are going to be toing and froing for the rest of the race, unless some of them can try and break clear. But with the slipstream effect, I don't think anyone's going to be able to. But yeah, the chasing group there, led by Alvaro Carpe, I think, on the MT Foundation 77, have got a glimmer of hope of trying to claw their way back up to the leaders. There's Bequeras, the number 18, just on the back. As we round the final corner once again, there'll be 7 laps to go as we cross the line. So still a long way to go, but it's getting towards crunch time as they took behind the ball into the slipstream. And who will be leading into turn 1? Zurutuza looking really, really strong, even despite having no slipstream. He's able to lead down the majority of the front straight. And as I say that, Ferrandez
from 5th over the line
cruises into turn 1 into the lead, and we've got a new race leader again. Then it's not Adrian Fernandez, Alberto Ferrandez who leads.
Oh, that's close. That's one of the Australia bikes getting eased out wide. Of course, there's 3 of them in this leading group, so it's difficult to tell at the moment. 2 of them, sorry, in this leading group. But it was interesting. Martinez got beaten up a bit on the last lap. He got overtaken by a couple of the. He got overtaken by Morelli, and he got overtaken as well by Uriarte. But it ended up giving him a bit of a slipstream down the main straight. There's an incident involving rider 13. That was the crash we saw earlier on, wasn't it? Of Danish. That was the collision down at turn 5. That's going to be investigated after the race, so perhaps a penalty coming his way for the next round at Aragon. But still very, very close in this leading group. Still 7 of them fighting away up at the front. Although Carpe, interestingly, he was faster than the riders ahead of him last lap. He and Almansa were in the 151s, quicker than the leaders. So perhaps they're going to close in on this leading group. They're now within a second of the back of this group. And Morelli, who's now down in 11th, so it clearly was him of the Australia bikes that got eased wide down at turn 3. Back in 11th now, has quickly responded with the fastest first sector of the race. Yeah,
it looks like the group of 8 has now become a group of 11, or maybe even more actually, because the number 78 for Joel Esteban at the back of this group? I'm not quite sure, but I think the leaders have been reeled in on this lap. And yeah, you can see there, it's not a group of 8 anymore. It's much bigger as we come across the line once more. It's Ferrandez then who leads. We mentioned before, he got a podium here last year. Will he be leading for long? I'm not sure he will, because that's an exceptional drive out the final corner from a lot of the riders. Zurutuza leading over the line from Martinez. Ferrandez loses out on the run to the line. He's down to 3rd place, but who will lead into turn 1? Cruces pulls out up the inside. Will he be late on the brakes? No, it's Maximo Martinez who's latest on the brakes. Gets it stopped. A job well done then for Maximo Martinez. As Morelli, we just mentioned Morelli, sets the fastest lap of the race on the number 95 machine. There he is. We'll focus in on him now. He's back up with the lead group. Yeah, and that gives you an idea of just how much slower the pace is while they're battling with each other for the lead. Morelli was 1.4 seconds faster than the leader Zurutuza on that last lap. Just brought himself right back into the frame again as Cruces now goes for the lead with his customary dive up the inside, this time into turn 5. How long he holds it is anyone's guess. Not long would be my suggestion. But yeah, Morelli back up into 9th place now over the line. There's every chance that he might have gained a bit from there. You can just see him there up at the inside now at the back of the group. I think that was the move he was going for on his teammate Bequeras. So Morelli looking to really bring himself right back into the frame. And clearly, once he's got some clear track, he's got some phenomenal pace on that bike. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? If you've got phenomenal pace, but you can't quite get to the front like Morelli has clearly shown, you're not going to be able to display it and try and break the group. Morelli's now mired down in about 8th or 9th, and he's displayed that sort of lap time, but he's obviously got a gaggle of riders in front of him who are all just as hungry to win the race. We've just seen Ferrandez there, the number 54. He led the last lap, but he's just got picked off a bit on this lap with 5 laps. 5.5 laps
for the leader there. Martinez ran way wide. That might not be the worst thing for him now, because he's going to be in a pretty good position down this main straight. We did see a bit of fun and games, not that we'd encourage any of it, because it was particularly frowned upon back in Barcelona in the Moto3 class, where no one wanted to lead across the line. I don't think anyone particularly wants to lead across the line here. Martinez does, despite that mistake, but look at the way he gets slipstreamed down the main straight. He's surrounded left and right, and he's now down to at least 2nd, and he's got a couple of his inside. He does hold on to 2nd, but Zurutuza back in the lead. As we've often seen into turn 1, Zurutuza's led more than most down there. Yeah, that could be crucial in the latter stage of the race. We're into the latter stage of the race now, but
on the last
He's
lap,
back into third, Elliot.
Morelli, yeah, absolutely sensational progress then from Morelli. Clearly got a nice draft down the front straight. Oh no, it's not Morelli in third, it's the number 51 of Uriarte. Morelli still just down there, going up the inside of one of the MT Foundation 77 bikes. Is that Ferrandez getting shoved down into the pack? As we see a replay then of the riders steaming down the hill into turn one. A fantastic sight to watch. Well, any bikes really, but especially when the riders are going for glory in the ETC. On the anchors, tips it right into a spectacular turn one at the beginning of a sensational lap here in Portimao. As we see more action then at the top of the hill at turn 14.
Bit of a gap now 11, sorry. Here, yeah, that's the biggest lead we've seen so far for Zurutuza, and as we've already mentioned, he's not struggled to get out of that main straight and then lead into turn one. These guys have got to be careful now in this group from second backwards. They need to be focusing on chasing down the leader. It's so easy to be just watching each other in this leading group and jockeying around, but that lead looks something approaching half a second now for Zurutuza as he comes through this final corner. If he can get into a rhythm now with no one disrupting him down to turn one, this could be danger signs for this leading group as they come across the line now. This will be just 4 laps to go as they come across the line, and Zurutuza's lead over Martinez is 7/10 of a second, a personal best that last time around for Zurutuza at 51.5. And that could be that. If he can put in another one of those on this lap, as Ferrandez perhaps recognising the danger as he looks to try and get himself into second. I think he will take second now on the switch back up the inside into turn 2. They're going to have to get their act together here as Martinez dives at the inside. This is exactly what Zurutuza wants.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Lewis, because that gap looks a little bit more than 7/10 now. Is this the breakaway then that we thought wouldn't happen, but said might happen if someone can just edge out of the slipstream like Zurutuza's done? What's his gap up to now? We're not quite seeing it on the time screen. 7/10 at the start of lap, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Pulled out another half second in the first sector of this lap, Elliot. It's over a second now.
Yeah, well, that's just every rider in this gaggle that we're just focusing on, trying to get the same piece of tarmac down into turn one, costing each other time. Yeah, that gap is over a second now by the looks and things, isn't it? So they need to box clever now, do these guys, if they want to win the race, because Zurutuza's got his head down, he's having no interruptions. The riders need to just be careful not to beat each other up too much if they're going to bridge that gap to the race leader, Zurutuza. As Ferrand thought he was going to dive at the inside there as Martinez, not this time around. So let's see what the gap is at the end of the lap. But Zurutuza, yeah, is he making that crucial break? I think he is, Lewis.
Yeah, the rider who's making the big progress in this chase group is the rider right at the back of it, David Almanza on the 22, the Fine-T Hawkers Junior Team. He was faster even than the leader Zurutuza on that last lap, a 151.5, and he's brought himself right onto the tail of this chase group now from second backwards. Can he now make progress? You can see him on the purple bike, back of the group. Can he actually make some progress now he's got there? Because he was certainly showing some incredible pace to make it up to the back of that chasing group. So we'll see if he can make any further progress from there on the 22. They come across the line again, 3 to go. Zurutuza's lead as they come across the line as he does another 151. It's 1.2 seconds over Martinez. Ferrandez comes across the line in third as they go side by side. Uriarte manages to slipstream past the pair of them into second place over the line, with Martinez slotting in ahead of Ferrandez. It looks at the moment as if we're in a battle for second place. We've had a track limits warning for the 71. At the moment. Let's see who that is. That's Hamed Al Sahuti. He's not in real contention. He's back in 25th position, but he's had a track limits warning, so he's got to have to watch his step the final 3 laps of this race. But at the moment, the pressure is on this chasing group because Zurutuza, with just 3 laps to go, is over a second of a lead, and they're running out of time to close that down.
They really are running out of time. It's looking ominous now for Zurutuza, who's broken clear at a crucial moment in the race. Got that 0.7 second lead, broke the slipstream, and he's edged out another half a second on the chasing pack. With 2.5 laps to go, time really is running out now for the other podium contenders to chase this man, the number 85. If he wins, it'll be a second win in a row. It'll be his 3rd podium of the season. It's his debut season, remember. So this is sensational stuff at a track that he's never raced at on a European Talent Cup bike before. So Zurutuza doing absolutely splendidly out front as the riders then look to try and hold the baton for P2 to try and chase down the leader. Maximo Martinez getting busy there up the inside. But it's Brian Uriarte, the number 51, who currently leads the group. It'll be interesting to see if they've closed down Zurutuza at all on this lap. I don't think they will have, and if they will have, it's not by much, because Zurutuza clearly is still out of the slipstream. and there'll just be 2 laps to go. So what can these Gagler riders do, if anything, to catch the race leader Zurutuza?
And as it stands as well, crucially, with Hugo Milan back in 6th at the moment, and he ran wide down in turn 13. This would give Zurutuza the championship lead. With a 7-point deficit, he would go well clear of Hugo Milan Gracier in the championship. Cruces would close in as well in the battle for 2nd place if he can get ahead of his teammate, as Morelli says the fastest lap of the race on that lap. They were actually quicker than Zurutuza on that last lap. The gap now down to 1 second, 2 laps to go. They may just run out of time to close that down, but that chase group got their act together on that last lap. All of them, from 2nd down to 6th, set their personal best laps of the race, including Morelli's fastest of the entire race so far. And they were all quicker than Zurutuza on that last lap. So it may not be over yet.
It's definitely not over yet, Lewis. Well pointed out that they were closer. The gap does look visibly closer, actually. Is Zurutuza just getting a little bit nervous out front? Or, well, to be fair, to the riders behind, they didn't quite mess each other up too much on that last lap, didn't they? So when you've got someone who's just a little bit ahead of you, we see it all the time across all classes, when you've just got someone a little bit ahead of you that you can focus on, you normally do tend to go quicker. We see it all the time. So Brian Uriarte and Maximo Martinez then have just got a little bit of a gap to Alberto Ferrandez, and they are the chasers to lead Zurutuza. I thought Maximo Martinez there was going to make a move up into turn 11. Not quite that time around, but yeah, Zurutuza then looking good here for another race winning the European Talent Cup. They've not got long left now. 1 and a bit laps to go around the Algarve International Circuit. The gap doesn't seem to have closed down much in the latter half of the lap, does it, Lewis?
Well, in the 2nd sector, they made a bit of ground. I mean, I used the Tour de France analogy earlier on. Well, the breakaway has been reeled in by the peloton as we come on to the final lap. Can they close it down with 1 lap to go? What's going to be particularly damaging for them is that they're not going to get one of the key overtaking spots, which is here down the main straight. If anything, they're going to catch him towards the end of the lap. Across the line we go. 1 lap remaining. Zurutuza's lead is 0.7 of a second. Another personal best that time around from Martinez. Cruces was the quickest of them all on that last lap as well. He came across the line in 4th and remains in 4th as they come across the line. 0.7 is not what you call a comfortable lead, but Zurutuza, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes from here, it should be his. Cruces barges his way up the inside once again to move into the podium positions. That's Martinez dropping to 4th, although he's trying to fight back. He can't quite do it. Cruces looking to fight his way into the podium in 3rd position. As it stands at the moment, it looks like it's just enough at the moment for Zurutuza out front. Uriarte not able to make up ground in that 1st sector of this lap. In fact, he was 2 tenths slower. Cruces setting the fastest 1st sector of anybody on that lap, but he's too far back to really make a dent on the leader out front.
Halfway around the final lap, then they come through into turn 8, the right-hander before going over the hill. Zurutuza, this is his race to lose, but they are closer. It looks visibly closer. The number 51 there, Uriarte, has Cruces right behind him, but can Zurutuza hold it? We rise up the hill for the final time. Oh, they're so close now, Lewis. This is going to be incredibly tight. They've really, really closed in Zurutuza on this final lap. Zurutuza looks like to be slightly wide there as Uriarte and Cruces hold on to the back of Zurutuza. We come down now into turn 13, a real passing manoeuvre. We see Cruces up the inside of Uriarte there. And they're right behind Zurutuza now. They're right behind him.
What might just save Zurutuza is that the finish line is very close to the final corner. That might help him too, with the battle for 2nd raging behind him. Uriarte back into 2nd. You can see the nerves down at Cuna de Campeones. They thought the race was over 3 laps ago. It's certainly not. He's just got enough of a lead, I think, but he doesn't want to be getting too bad a run out of this final corner.
This is going to be tight across the line. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Zurutuza? Is it going to be Uriarte? I think it's going to be Zurutuza who just holds it. Zurutuza wins the race. His 2nd win in a row for the rookie. The Cuna de Campeones guys celebrate. What a race from the number 85 who did get it caught on the last lap. What was the gap over the line?
0.03 of a second. Martinez taking 3rd. Cruces set the fastest lap of the race on the final lap, a 150.7 to take 4th ahead of Ferrandez. Hugo Milan does lose the championship lead with 6th position ahead of Morelli, Carpe, Almanza and Perez completed the top 10. Not sure what happened to Angel Piqueras. He did a 156 on the penultimate lap and he's dropped all the way down to 13th in the end.
Yeah, not a good final lap then for your pole sitter Piqueras. But it was a great final lap, just about a great final lap for Zurutuza, your winner. The debutant really taking the European Talent Cup by storm in 2021. Another win for the Cuna de Campeones team. What a race that was. Absolutely sensational. We did promise that it would be a fantastic race in the European Talent Cup. It always is. And the young athletes didn't let us down, did they, here at the Algarve International Circuit. Second place for Uriarte, Brian Uriarte. That's his second podium of the season. He won back in Valencia, the opening race there at the circuit, Ricardo Tormo. There he is, the number 51, the Spaniard, Brian Uriarte. And third place over line was Maximo Martinez, another rookie in the European Talent Cup. That's his second podium in a row after finishing second in Barcelona. So a fantastic race for all the riders then here who finished on the podium. 0.1 seconds covering the top 4 riders. You don't really get much closer than that. There he is, the number 28, Maximo Martinez. Started second, finished third. I'm sure he won't have too many complaints about that. Any podium in the European Talent Cup when there's a whole host of riders all chasing that top step of the podium, to finish first, second or third is a real achievement. So I'm sure when they pull into Parc Ferme, all three will be very, very pleased with their day's work. And there he is then, the race winner, number 85, Zurutuza. He'll be speaking to Lewis Sotheby in a few minutes' time to get his thoughts on the race. There's Alberto Ferrandez revving his engine. Alberto Ferrandez finished 5th in the end. Solid result. Finished on the podium here last year. You can probably tell how loud that is through your speakers on the TV or wherever you're watching. But these bikes are ridiculously loud. Louder than the Moto3 bikes. It's astonishing how much more noise can come out of a small bike like that. Zurutuza stands on the foot pegs, lofts his arms in the air, and he is a winner once again in the European Talent Cup. He'll be spraying the fizzy water on the podium in a few minutes' time. I bet he can't wait to do that. As the team pose for a picture in Parc Ferme again. Second win on the bounce then for Zurutuza. And as we mentioned, that'll be now the championship lead for Zurutuza, with Hugo Milan finishing down in 6th place. That's Hugo Milan's worst finish since he finished 8th in Estoril. It's been a great run of podium finishes for Hugo Milan, but it unfortunately for the young Spaniard comes to an end here in Portimao. Zurutuza are clearly happy there. The team also very happy with the youngsters' work, and rightly so. There's second place, Brian Uriarte. He too very pleased with another podium finish. A couple of DNFs in Valencia and Estoril have just dented his title charge slightly this year. But in his debut season, to finish on the top step in Valencia and second place here in Portimao is very, very good work indeed. There's just a replay of the riders diving into turn 1. We saw plenty of action there, and that was indeed the race-winning overtake. After that, Zurutuza was just able to break clear for a couple of laps before the riders did then catch up on the final lap, and just Zurutuza held it on the line. The team there ecstatic in the box. As we mentioned, 0.036 seconds covering Zurutuza and second place Uriarte on the line. Martinez was a 1/10.5 down in third place. Cruces just over a 1/10.5 down, as close as you like it, the top 4, under 2 tenths. That is the European Talent Cup in a nutshell. Fascinating racing, fascinating battles up and down the grid, especially for the top guys as Maximo Martinez poses for the photo. I'm sure there'll be many and more of them to come in Parc Ferme. A nice little Louis Salom tribute there on the back of his levers, the late great Louis Salom. We'll be heading down to Parc Ferme soon with your race winner Zurutuza chatting to Lewis Sotheby, as the riders just get set to make their way up to the podium. I'm sure for all three it won't be well, it's not the first time, I'm sure it won't be the last time either that they visit the podium. Very exciting careers ahead for a lot of these riders in the European Talent Cup. It's the beginning of the road to MotoGP. Keep an eye on a lot of these riders' progresses, because this is where a lot of riders start their careers. They'll move up into the Junior World Championship or go another route into the Red Bull Rookies Cup, for example, and then we'll be seeing some of these names in a few years on the world stage. Here is Zurutuza then coming across to speak to Lewis Sotheby, and we can hear from him now.
Xabi Zurutuza, back-to-back victories now and leading the championship after that win. Tell us about that race. It looked crazy from our point of view.
Yes, it's my second victory. I'm very happy. The race is very difficult because there are a lot of wind, but I'm very happy. And thanks my sponsor, my mechanic Alex and Arcade, and my family and all of. Thanks.
And some words in Spanish.
Estoy muy contento. Esta es mi segunda victoria. Y bueno, dar las gracias al equipo por cómo ha ido la moto durante todo el finde y a mis mecánicos. Y luego esta victoria va dedicada a Luispa, que falleció hace un par de semanas, y bueno, esto va por ti.
Congratulations.
Here's the highlights then from the only race of the day in the European Talent Cup here in Portimao. Angel Becerra started on pole and broke late to grab the whole shot into turn one. That was Uchumi on the start line, unfortunately having issues. As a typical European Talent Cup freight train formed at the front. A lot of riders battling out for the race lead and the podium places and so on. And we saw plenty of changes down the front straight. The riders took it into the slipstream. That's Brian Uriarte, the eventual second place finisher, with Marco Relli, the number 95. Turn one, plenty of action down there into the right-hander. That's Maximo Martinez leading the race. And it was very, very busy in the open exchanges. Saw a few incidents down at turn 5. Really difficult corner to get right. Unfortunately, some riders not being able to get back up and finish the race, but the story was at the front. As the number 85, Xabi Zurutuza, took the lead on several occasions, but on several occasions he was passed down in turn one as the riders tucked into the slipstream. Adrian Cruz says there, Martinez, Uriarte, Ferrandez, the number 83. Plenty of riders all used to being at the front in the European Talent Cup battling away, but Zurutuza then broke clear of the slipstream. He edged out a gap up to 1.2, 1.3 seconds before on the final lap. The riders reeled him in. Adrian Cruz says his teammate there, but it was too little, too late. Zurutuza crossed the line to win his second race of the season and take the championship lead. Here are the final results then. Zurutuza, Uriarte and Martinez on the podium, and look how close that is with Adrian Cruz just off the podium in fourth place. Ferrandez, Hugo Milan, the former championship leader, Morelli, Carpe and Almanza picking up top 9 positions. Good races from all those guys. Gonzalo Perez, Joel Esteban, Salmela, Becerra, the pole sitter, Roberto Garcia and Pal Alcina pick up the final points with Plonk and Roustone, the Estoril Race 1 winner, down in 17th position. Gordon, Charil, Paulek, Mahalia, Sola, Parilla, Moodley and Trias finished the race either just inside the 20 or just outside the top 20. Torin Collins, Sahuti, Brinton, Schiaretta, Corey Tinker, Van Tricht and Gordon were the other finishers of the 32 riders strong field that took the checkered flag. Saw there with Pini crashed out, unfortunately, the Italian, as did Casey Gorman, Ribeiro, Hakim Danish, Philip Ton and Uchumi, who suffered those issues on the start grid.
Team manager
It's podium time then for the European Talent Cup top 3. Team member of the Cuna de Campeones setup will gladly receive one of the trophies. Maximo Martinez almost going on to the second step of the podium. That's Brian Uriarte. And there's your winner, Xabi Zurutuza. 2 in 2 now for the Spaniard, the Cuna de Campeones rider. Says congratulations to his fellow podium finishers. Good to see these guys having a little chat about the race. I'm sure there'll be many more battles to come for all 3 of them together for the rest of the season too. Maximo Martinez lifts the 3rd place trophy proudly. Uriarte will lift the 2nd place trophy proudly. Hear the cheers of the teams down there watching on in pit lane.
Xabi Zurutuza.
And there is your winner, Xabi Zurutuza.
E o cheque Repsol para Xabi Zurutuza.
Nice little €200 check there for Zurutuza. That'll pay for some petrol on the way home and maybe the McDonald's or something.
And I'm sure he'll tell us he judged it to perfection on the last lap.
E vamos agora ficar com a foto dos melhores no final deste pódio. Walkers European Talent Cup.
So back-to-back victories then for Xabi Zurutuza, which gives him control of the European Talent Cup standings as we pretty much head into the second half of the season now, with a couple of races next time out at Motorland Aragon. And in amongst these 3 riders spraying the fizzy water around, spare a thought first of all for Zurutuza, who's got a very cold back right about now. As we check the photo finish, a demotion of 1 position for rider 28. Well, I was about to say spare a thought for Adrian Cruces, who pulled into Parc Ferme at the end of it, thinking he'd finished 3rd, having set the fastest lap of the race. On the final lap. We'll confirm the results for you in just a moment, but of course we're getting, as you can see, notice from race direction that the 28 of Martinez has been demoted a position. So we'll tidy the results out for you in just a moment. No doubt about the winner though, it's that young man, Xabi Zurutuza, 2nd victory in a row. And it continues his incredible record of being in the top 6 at every single race this season. And here's how he did it on the run to the line on the final lap. And let's keep an eye out on this battle for 3rd position. How close do you like it? As Martinez and Cruces went side by side over the line. That is how close it was. And it did look from that shot, didn't it, that Cruces got it on the run to the line by the width of a front tyre in the end. Here are the results then. No, in fact, here are the championship standings, and it is Zurutuza, as mentioned, who leads it now by 8 points. He overturns a 7-point deficit on Hugo Milan to an 8-point lead. Cruces sits 3rd, 77 points, which means he has been given the 16 for 3rd. So Cruces does take the final spot in the end on the podium, even if he wasn't stood up there. Martinez in 4th in the championship, 4th in the end in the race. In the championship. Angel Piqueras, the pole man, failing to convert that. He's 12th in the standings, just ahead of the Finn Rico Salmela. Philip Ton, 15th in the points, having failed to add to his tally either today. Further back, we have Charles Charil on 11 points. He's 18th at the moment. And a few riders further down. Pau Alsina has 7 points. Milan Pavelek, the pole, on 4 ahead of Paul Sola, Alex Gordon, and Demis Mihaila, who is the last of our 25-point scorers so far this season in the Hawkers European Talent Cup. So a late change in the end for 3rd place following the photo finish, but the winner was never in any doubt, although he made these teams sweat a little bit on the final lap. It's Xabi Zurutuza, the number 85, takes his 2nd win of the season, 2nd in a row, and he leads the Hawkers European Talent Cup on the way to Aragon in 3 weeks' time. Up next, it's the Moto3 Junior World Championship.